Hello and welcome to the Odcast, the IKP podcast which brings you behind the scenes of a national touring theatre company. I'm Nate, the host this week, and each week we're joined by a selection of IKP members and theatre professionals. Joining me today are Kirsten, Joe and Ollie, and our special guest for the week, Jenny Cameron from Stagedoor.
Woo!
Woo! So, first of all, Jenny, do you want to just give a brief rundown of who you are, what you do?
Okay, so I'm Jenny Cameron and I run Stagedoor Learning, which is a 16 to 19 specialist college in Cheltenham, and we work with the Everyman Theatre to provide a vocational training course for sixth form students. So it's a 2-year course. They do a BTEC, and we work really closely with the Everyman and also other local professional theatre companies.
Cool. Also based in Hinckley, not Hinkley Point, which is a power station, I have been told, since we last mentioned it.
Yes, there is a second Stagedoor in Hinckley and soon to be a third Stagedoor in Bedford.
Ooh, exciting. Have you considered setting up a fourth Stagedoor in Hinkley Point power station?
I could, although I'm not sure that it would go down very well. A nuclear power station, yeah. I mean, it's a thought. We could do lots of site-specific drama.
That'd be fun.
In hazmat suits.
Yeah.
How did you start Stagedoor Learning?
Okay, so I used to teach in a normal school. And I had a group of really talented sixth form students, and when they got to year 11, myself and Jane, the other drama teacher, decided that we needed to do something a bit more than what we were already doing in order to be able to give that very specifically talented, it sounds like I'm making it up, but they were unusually talented for a group. We felt like they needed more than they would get if they just stayed at sixth form and did performing arts BTEC. So we then, at that point, we joined up with the Everyman and tried to get a little bit more of a partnership going. So they were able to do things like work experience. It really annoyed all the other teachers because they'd be like, where is this person? Why are they not in their A-level English lesson? And I'd be like, oh, they're at the Everyman. And then a little bit later on, long story this, the school decided it wasn't going to have a sixth form anymore, and I thought I didn't want to work in a school with a sixth form, so we took the idea that we'd already been doing and kind of expanded it, and Stagedoor was the next obvious step. So now it's a full-time course rather than just being something you do alongside English A-level. So that's where it came from. But I suppose the philosophy behind it is that I used to teach in London, and in schools in London, there's so many opportunities for kids who like performing. I mean, things are literally thrown at them and it's all cheap or it's free. And then I moved back up to Gloucestershire and there was nothing. And it was really obvious that kind of kids from normal working class families, particularly in rural areas, don't get the opportunities just because they don't live in London. So I wanted to provide something that wouldn't cost them anything, that would give them an opportunity to have some of those experiences that they wouldn't get anywhere else. So that's what Stagedoor is all about, really. It's about trying to level the playing field a little bit. It's still very difficult to get on in the industry. It's really difficult to get into drama school. But if you've had the opportunity to see lots of free theatre, if you've had the opportunity to work with professionals, if you've had the opportunity to do work experience in the various different departments of regional theatre, you know a bit more about it than I really like acting, so I want to go to drama school. So that's what it was all about. It's about trying to level the playing field a little bit for ordinary kids who don't happen to live in London.
Yeah, and for clarity, me and Kirsten were part of that year 11 class.
That's not for clarity, that's just for ego, so you can be like, yeah, we're part of that amazing year 11 class. It's so good.
Be a bit weird. Be a bit weird for the next hour being like, this year group sounds brilliant. That's so... Yeah.
There was some mumbling about some people maybe wanting to leave school and go somewhere where they might get more drama. And so we were like, no, we need to do something to stop them from leaving. But now I'm the drama teacher going, no, leave school, come here.
But I mean, that's been the case for years. I mean, Ollie said in a previous podcast, if Stagedoor had existed when he was leaving year 11, or if he'd known about it when he was leaving year 11 and going into sixth form, he'd have done that. And I changed schools for sixth form back in the dark ages when I was still at school, which I worked out I was in year 7 20 years ago next year, which is just depressing. Anyway,
wow. No, it's
I
even
know.
more depressing. I could have been your teacher.
Yeah. Oh, sorry, Jenny. But I changed schools from year 11 to year 12 because I had a meeting with the head of sixth form, and he was like, "We'd like you to stay. What will it take for you to stay?" And I went, "Do drama at sixth form." He went, "It's not an academic enough subject." And I replied, "But you do art." And he was like, "I don't think this conversation's going anywhere. Thanks." So yeah, but yeah, I mean, I definitely would have done Stagedoor all those many years ago if it was going. I think it's such a great offering, and the fact that you've got the USP of being linked to a professional working theatre, just gives your students so much more opportunity to get the experience, because I think that's what a lot of drama schools are looking for when people are applying to drama school. I think a lot of the time people get rejected because they don't have the experience, and a lot of the time that's kind of knowledge of being involved in stuff that Stagedoor gives you that access to.
Yeah, and I think the kids at Stagedoor get that without even realising that that's what they're getting. So, the language that they would use is different because they've been in I don't know, they've observed professional rehearsals, or they've got more experience than just doing a school show, and it's quite nice for them to be able to sit in on a professional rehearsal and realise that the sort of things that happen in a school show also happen. The technical rehearsal does go on for days, and people do get stressed, and that they get a much more rounded view of it, and also they get to know the number of people who are involved, and that it's not just about acting. And actually some of the current second years have made the choice to go on and do degree courses where they can look at how to create theatre rather than just interpret somebody else's script. And I think that's really exciting, that it's not just about, I like acting, I want to go to drama school. Actually, they're looking more at, well, what if I want to be a facilitator or a workshop leader or a creator? What if I want to be a practitioner? And that's really cool. And then they're looking
really
at
sick.
more courses than just BA acting. So yeah, that's cool.
Are those kind of stuff covered in the course? What kind of stuff do you do that makes it different to taking drama at A-level?
Well, the thing that makes it different to taking drama A-level, and this is the same for BTEC across, whether you're doing it in school or college or Stagedoor, is that so much of it is practical. So for a drama A-level, you might study a play and then in your exam write about how you would play the part of insert character here, whereas for the BTEC you just do the play. So that's kind of the main difference. But how Stagedoor kids get a different experience to others is what Joe's saying. Really, it's the links with the theatre. So when they do those productions, they will do it at the Everyman. They do it in the studio, and they'd have a professional tech team. So they have to behave in a professional way. They have to learn the lines. They're in the tickets are on sale at the box office, so there's no guarantee that everybody in the audience is going to be somebody's grandma, and that puts pressure on. It has to be good, because there might be people that aren't related to anyone in the cast there. But yeah, I mean, I think that if you want to go on and work in performing arts, then a BTEC is actually a much better way of doing it than taking an A-level, because I'm sure that working actors don't generally, I don't know, maybe they do, write essays about the play that they're doing. I don't know whether you guys do that when you're working with IKP. Do you write
all the time? Yeah, we don't have any fun in rehearsal rooms. All the time, I'm just like, guys, we need a 6,000 word essay from you. Can you imagine? I don't think there's even 6,000 words in the script. I'd be making you write more than I've written the script to be.
I think you could do that. You could give them really tight deadlines as well.
I think also, though, on top of the offering that Stagedoor has of having that connection with the Everyman, you, Jenny, work really hard to seek out really good connections with people that are good for your students. So having the amazing, wonderful Bryn Holding from Hammer Puzzle Theatre Company there to help them with audition. He really knows his stuff. He's great. Yeah.
That's really helps. And there's lots of professionals that we've kind of got in touch with along the way that really enjoy coming back, which is great. So we were talking about Vinny, a phenomenal workshop with Vinny Heaven last week, and just being able to get that kind of caliber of person to work with the students. And yeah, Bryn's great. And obviously we've had Joe Hackett from IKP has run workshops, and that's also amazing.
and your patron is now part of the Coronation Street cast.
Indeed, Jack James Ryan is our official patron, and yeah, he is causing problems in Coronation Street, and that's great. So yeah, people enjoy it. We had a workshop with Nancy Trotter, who works with Gifted Circus yesterday, looking at technique with the first years. That was a bit weird, but also really good.
Was that a Zoom workshop? Or
No, that was in person. She was there.
Nancy's amazing.
Making them be animals. It was wonderful.
Oh, was Nancy there for the Look Up workshop?
Yes.
Okay, that makes a lot more sense. So I turned up to pick something up from Jenny at Stage Door, and as I walked down the street, I could just hear screaming and kind of howling coming from the windows upstairs. So I was like, it's nice to hear them back doing drama again. There's definitely drama going on.
There was.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
It was wonderful.
I mean,
I think like what you were saying about your students having like a better vocabulary for how to engage with stuff is really, I think it rings true, just because I remember, at least for my first acting audition, I got back and you were like, did you feel like you were on that level? Like, we just didn't really know what drama schools expected from auditionees. And I think over the last 3 years, you've kind of learnt what that is, and you've got people around that know what that is. So now people that come through Stage Door kind of know what's expected of them when they're doing auditions in a way that we kind of learnt on the fly.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's fair. I mean, I'm constantly learning as well. And, everything moves on so quickly, doesn't it? Jack James Ryan did a self-taping workshop last year just because it was a nice thing to do. And then it ended up being the most useful thing that any of them had ever done. And this year we were able to do a self-taping workshop knowing that people would need to do it. So, being able to have that kind of knowledge, and even stuff, you're right, Nate, about kind of learning about auditions and what's expected, knowing what's a good speech to do and what to avoid. And then having chatted to students who were in sixth forms who, were from Millbrook, but are in sixth forms at other schools now, and they're perhaps not having that. They don't have that knowledge, and they're not getting into acting courses at university, let alone drama school, because they don't have that understanding of it. And the volume of people applying, you've got to know how to send yourself tape off, how to present yourself. You've got to know those things, otherwise I think you fall at the first hurdle.
Yeah, I completely agree with that as well, because speaking from personal experience myself, I never had that kind of vocational training before applying to drama school, and I think that's what probably set me back a few years, is because there was just I personally I had no idea what I was doing. I was going into auditions learning monologues, just learning the lines. I wasn't reading behind it, making a character log or anything like that. Excuse me. And so I think it really does set you back, and I think if I could choose again, I probably would do a BTEC or a vocational course. And I think there's a lot of stigma against it sometimes, because I remember back when I was in year 11 deciding what I was going to do, whether I was going to sixth form or a BTEC course or something. I was always told that BTECs aren't as good, and A levels are the ones that get you real jobs, quote unquote. Which looking back on it now, it's just a load of bollocks, really. I always knew that I wanted to go into acting, and so I don't know why I believed in that. And it's not any less academic, is it? It's still a very intense 2 years.
Yeah. It's really intense. And actually, so since Nate and Kirsten did their BTEC in performing arts, they've updated it. So there are new units in there that you have to do that are externally assessed, which actually are just as rigorous, to use a Michael Gove word, as some of the A-level stuff. But the thing I think that does make BTEC quite intense is that everything is assessed. So it's not like you can wing it for a couple of years and then pull it out of the bag on the day for the exam. Everything that they do from the first day they come in counts. And I think that's good, because that's like real life, isn't it? In no other situation, really, are we told do this for a couple of years, then we'll see if you're any good at it. We're constantly being kind of tested on what we're doing, even if you're not writing it down. People are still looking at whether you're any good at things right from the start. So yeah, I think BTECs are more appropriate for that kind of thing. So yeah, but I think you're right, Ollie. I think there is a lot of stigma about A-levels and BTECs, and now, BTECs are just for the not very academic people. And that's not true. I don't think that's true. I've never thought that was true.
No, absolutely not. And I think it's a trade, isn't it? It's a craft. It's just a different way of doing things. And I don't think everybody is suited to academic subjects. But you look at you look at like, say, a plumber or, a builder or something, they'd go on to do an apprenticeship, and that's how they get into that industry, and they can still get very far in that industry without A-levels. And I think if anything, it might set people back. Like, I think it definitely set me back a few years, because it took me a while to get into like anything to do with a drama school. So I don't know.
I think BTEC's, I don't know, like, before I went into university, I didn't really think I could do anything academic, because the only academic stuff I'd done were in things that I wasn't interested in. And then I did the BTEC, and obviously I like drama anyway. It was, what I chose to do in sixth form and everything. And I obviously loved theatre, loved it enough to do it at uni, and it's something I want to do for the rest of my life. And then I think because I had that grounding, I built that passion and I built that drive to do it. I think then when I went on and did, 75% academic course, it made me understand academia, and it made me understand that aspect of it. And then I was able to actually find a passion for it. So I think, like, I agree with everything everyone's saying. I don't think BTECs get enough credit, because I think they open up doors for people who aren't necessarily academic at the base. I think they just open that door for those people to be able to look at things from a different perspective. And I think the fact I was able to really, I'm just repeating myself at this point, but like formulate that passion, it can then open so many doors. And I think that's something I really, really took from doing the course with Jenny, was that I could build it through doing like practical stuff and vocational stuff and all of that. And then it just opened so many doors, opened loads of doors.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think like you're living proof that you don't have to do A levels to be set up to succeed in the academic side of a degree. Like, because we did do loads of work, but it wasn't like, he is writing lots of long essays, which is, I guess, one of the selling points for A levels is going, well, you'd understand the academia so you can do a degree, but.
Well, for me, I think I spent most of my GCSEs going, what am I doing? What am I writing? I don't get this. All I know is I need to pass and I need to get these certain grades, because that's what gets me to the next stage of my educational career. But then I didn't really think about it in that sense when I did the BTEC. I just thought, I'm doing something that I really love, and like have to give Jenny full credit for that, because I don't think you've been my like only drama teacher. Do you know what I mean? I started when I was in year 10. I didn't do it for like years when I was a child. I didn't do it from year 7 to year 9. I had no access to that. So when I joined year 10, I just kind of joined it because it was something I kind of wanted to do. And now I have all my GCSEs in it. I have a BTEC in it, and I have a degree in it. And I think, I don't know, it was just really good.
It's funny that you say that you didn't write loads of essays, because I'm fairly sure that you wrote thousands and thousands and thousands of words.
I waffled. But like, no, we did like the logs, and we did like, I don't know, we did the business modules. Like, we did loads of really, really useful stuff. I think it was just like, not to completely crap on English courses. I think it was just because English courses, it was very much like, you need to reference, you need to do this, and it needs to make sense, and it needs to be this and this and this. I was like, what? I need help. I need someone to like guide me through this, because I didn't have a passion for English. So it just failed me. And I know other people look at it differently, but yeah, building that passion. And I didn't go into university thinking like, oh, I'm going to become academic. Like, oh, this is what's going to happen. That wasn't the case at all. I started it and I spent the first year going, what am I doing? And then I went into second year and I was like, wait, I know what I'm doing. This is fine. And I don't know, it was kind of up from there, really.
And then just bashed out a few 76s for your essays.
Oh my God.
So, Jenny, one of the things that we talked about in the first week was about how much we all like doing live theatre, because live theatre is when stuff goes wrong, and that's sometimes the best moments in shows. So I'm wondering whether you have any particular memories of times that things didn't quite go to plan.
Yeah, I mean, depending on how far back I'm allowed to go, we could talk about the show that we set the fire alarm off every night.
Like that's every night, like you didn't learn the lesson from one night.
No, we didn't. So this was the school edition of Les Miserables in, was it 2014? 2014. Isn't it? And we had we had haze, obviously, because we needed lots of atmosphere, and the school caretaker had said that was fine. And he would just like cover over the smoke, like the smoke detector. So he did. He covered over the smoke detector directly above the stage, but didn't think that as the haze moved up the hall, then the other smoke detectors might also be affected. So the first night, the fire alarm went off because the smoke got halfway up the hall. And then the second night, they covered those ones over. But where the orchestra was sitting, there was a door and no one covered up the smoke detector on the other side of the door. So we set it off the second night as well. And then the third night, they said we couldn't have any haze at all. And that was a bit upsetting because it would have been crap without kind of atmosphere. So then in the end, they said it was all right. We just turned the fire alarm system off as long as we had someone who was a designated fire watcher whose job was to shout fire if they saw one.
Wow. So did the alarm go off inside the hall as well?
Yeah, it did. We all had to go outside into the car park.
Oh, wow.
Oh.
Wow.
Because it was a school as well, it automatically sent a message to the police station, the fire station. The fire engine turned up and the customer in the car park, the audience in the car park.
Should have made it part of the show. You should have got them to come in costume.
Oh, if only we knew. We would have done. That would have been amazing. Adding to the barricade scene.
You'd have to get the fire engine in costume as well, though. You'd have to like cover it in chairs and tables and just be like, oh, the barricades arrived.
Oh, we should have done that. It would have been brilliant. Yeah, that's the best one. There's only ever been kind of tiny mishap stories apart from that. But yeah, I mean, I think since I've started Stagedoor, we haven't really had very much because the kids are all so professional and so serious. You know, you don't really get the mishaps when there aren't 25 year sevens who are pissing around at the front.
I think that means we're not professional and serious, guys.
You're like the year sevens. Yeah.
We are like the year sevens. No, stuff just goes wrong, doesn't it? I guess.
Yeah.
I mean, Sleepy Hollow, I was really impressed that like the show got moved outside because of COVID and because of social distancing and everything. I was really impressed at how well your students moved from doing an indoor production to performing in a field that had recently been mowed and was covered in hay, in the wind and like dealing with the elements because it's not easy.
That's true. And they'd been told just before we went on that that we would carry on regardless unless there was a thunderstorm. And we could hear the thunderstorm in the distance.
Right.
It didn't hit us, did it? And Will, who did the tech, showed me afterwards on his geeky thunderstorm tracking app that the thunderstorm had come close, split in half, gone round us, and then joined back together again.
Oh, that was lucky.
Cool. Yeah.
That's nice. Also, how geeky is that to have a thunderstorm tracking app? Is that because he does lots of outdoor events?
He does lots of outdoor events, yeah. Okay. And it's generally a tech geek. But yeah, that's true, actually. No, they did really well with that. And we got into this mown field and the first thing they had to do was to move the hay so there wasn't so much of it on the performance area. So that was fun.
It's almost disappointing that more stuff hasn't gone wrong, Jenny. I'm not going to lie.
No.
Oh.
The thing is, we haven't done anything big, had we? We've only ever had one show of anything. So when we did Battle of Boat 2 years ago, we only had one go at that. So things went wrong beforehand. We were in the art centre that we were in. We had Will again, geeky tech guy.
Yeah.
But we had to have one of their tech people there as well in order for it to go ahead. And he didn't know how to put the workers off. So Will was trying to tech the show with strip lights on. And the guy was like, I don't know how to turn them off.
Oh, wow.
That was fun. So Will had to go and stick cardboard over them because he didn't know how to turn them off.
Wow. That's creative solution. What about shows you've been in? What's the worst thing that's happened to you during a show?
I mean, I've done a lot of shows drunk because I was at university, so I'm not sure it counts.
Annie, your students might be listening to this.
They might.
Yes, but that's university. That's very different to a BTEC course when you're age 16 to 19.
Yeah. When I was at university, I was in the Gilbert and Sullivan Society.
Ooh.
Wow.
Yeah, I know. We didn't just do GNS. We did musicals of other things too. But yeah, there was a phase of, because GNS shows, you know, if you're in the chorus of a GNS show, the ensemble is very much like this kind of blob of indiscriminate people. So there was a few directors who were like, oh, let's make everybody slightly different. So you can be the funny one, you can be the old one, you can be the drunk one. And I did Yeoman of the Guard whilst drunk. That was fun.
Was that because you were so method that you decided that you should just be drunk? Or?
Yeah, so I think there were two of us in the chorus who were like the slutty ones, because you always have to have a slutty one or two in the chorus of a GNS show. And Yeoman of the Guard is, I don't know, Elizabethan. It's set in the olden days anyway. So we decided it'd be really funny to have like little bottles of gin, but I don't like gin, so I had Baileys. So I just swigged Baileys all the way through. That was fun.
Oh, wow, that's a lot of cream for one night of shows. And also,
it's not a drink to swig.
It's Gilbert and Sullivan. That's going on for 3 hours of like, you must have been curdled by the end of the night.
I can't remember.
I mean, yeah, it's not as bad as having a cup that's got Baileys in and then somebody putting wine in on top of the Baileys. That's not good, because that goes all lumpy and gross. Yeah.
But since university, I haven't really done much performing. I'm normally the person at the front shouting at people. So,
do you prefer it that way?
I do like directing. Yes, I mean, I'd like to get better at directing, and one day I'd like to direct people who are not my students, because they have to do what I say.
Okay.
Because I'm their teacher.
Do you have anything like that coming up?
Well, in the summer, funny you should say that. Yes, in the summer, I have a very exciting project. It will still be Stagedoor, but it's Stagedoor alumni rather than current students. We're doing a mini outdoor tour of Spring Awakening, which will be very exciting. And students who are current or ex-Stagedoor students will be able to audition for it. And it's the first time I've ever been able to do a show where I've picked a show and then done auditions. Normally, I have to pick a show where everybody will fit in. I haven't ever been able to do a show that hasn't been, a cast of less than like 30. So
Spring Awakening is still quite a big cast.
13. It's 13. It was big by IKP standards, but it's 13. That's it. And we're not having a chorus, just 13 of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
When's that going to be?
So we are going to be performing it in the second week of August.
Yeah, you're busy, Kirsten. You can't do it.
What?
Kirsten's like, I'm a dip.
I don't really have that thought.
I've specifically told Jenny she needs to add a date to her tour because we're in Leeds while it's on.
See it.
Oh, yeah, you're going to have to add a date.
Yeah.
That's fine. I can do that. But no, it's really exciting. So Lucas Bailey is on board as musical director and probably also choreographer. And yeah, it's really exciting. I'm really excited about directing a show that's smaller, that doesn't have to have a chorus of 25 board year sevens, and where I haven't had to find a show with enough parts for everyone, which is generally what I have to do.
Nice.
Yeah, it's very exciting.
Yeah, that's cool. And Lucas Bailey's great. He's arranged our music for Treasure Island, and he's just great, and he's so nice to work with.
He's brilliant to work with. In fact, we're working with him right now on the Stagedoor. It should have been the summer musical, but it's not now. It's a spring musical because roadmaps and dates. So yeah, we had Lucas in this afternoon working on the current show that we're working on, which is Brass, not Brass, because it's set in Leeds. So we have to call it Brass. And yeah, Lucas is absolutely wonderful. He does fantastic things with singing. It's brilliant.
And where and when will Brass be?
So Brass will be on the 18th and 19th of May at the Everyman Theatre on the main stage, which is very, very exciting.
That's cool. Is that on sale already?
It is on sale already from the Everyman Theatre website. Tickets are £10 or £12. And yeah, it's going to be fantastic, featuring all 35 of the current Stagedoor students. 35.
Gosh, I remember the year when it was like 11 of them.
I know. Well, there were 10 at the beginning, weren't there? 10 and then 23, and then last year there were 29, and now there are 35. So
I like that because you're doing Brass. Some of your accent has gone a bit northern as well.
Well, we're trying to encourage them to talk in a northern accent during the day so that it becomes normal by May.
Nice.
So you're saying that Stagedoor Learning's headquarters at the moment is like those Johnny Vegas tea adverts where he's talking to the monkey.
Basically, yeah.
Oh, good. Nice.
Cool. Yeah. Now I recorded some of the Second Year girls singing a really, really beautiful extract of it on Friday and realised that it's all far too posh. That they were talking about sending them off to France and how the Germans would advance, which is weird because they don't talk like that in normal life. They're not posh Stagedoor kids, but when they sing, they are.
And I am, I believe, but tomorrow
Yeah, it sounds great. I'm really looking forward to that.
Find it really funny as well that now you're like, no, stop saying advance, stop saying France, because
I know.
all through Les Mis, you're like, it's France, stop saying France.
Yes, but that school was in Gloucester, Nate, so...
I know. Well, no, it is funny. It's funny because none of them can do the accent at the moment. And then one of the poor boys has got to be from Birmingham because there's one character that's a Brummie. And so he's got to learn to do that whilst everybody else is doing their generic Northern. He's got to do Brummie. Yeah.
This sounds so much fun. This sounds sick.
It's a great show. It's really good fun. I mean, it's quite sad. It's set in World War One, so no spoilers. People die, but yeah.
You like picking shows where people die, don't you? Because Battle of Boat, there was a bit of death going on there.
I mean, the only thing that died in Battle of Boat was a mouse.
Yes, but that was the saddest scene. And Saskia played all of that character development of the mouse so well.
That's true.
That you genuinely cared when the mouse died.
Yeah.
Wait, Saskia was the mouse?
No, Saskia was the character who had the mouse.
Yeah.
Aww.
And the mouse died. And it genuinely was upsetting when the mouse that you never saw died.
Wait, it got murdered? Why?
Yeah, because the bully took it off her and stamped on it.
No. That's horrible.
And then they had this beautiful funeral for it. Like the best song in the show is the mouse's funeral. Well, second best song, but yeah, the mouse's funeral was great.
Oh, second best song. What was your favourite song?
In Battle of Boat, Then We'll Fight, the song that we've rolled out for every other event.
The song that you used for all the trailers and everything, yeah.
I mean, it's great to be fair.
It's a great song, yeah.
And actually, the person that played the lead character in Battle of Boat, Izzy, went on to be in Cinderella with us.
That's true.
And part of Izzy getting the part of Cinderella was the fact that I'd seen Battle of Boat and was like, I know you can sing really strongly. And then told her that she had songs, and she was like, I'm not really a very good singer. And I was like, I've seen you in a musical.
Brass has definitely got the best score of the shows that we've done. It's really, really beautiful. It's a beautiful score. It's a lot more hummable than Sleepy Hollow.
Sleepy Hollow's got a few hummable ones.
It has a few hummable ones, it's true, but it's also got some kind of clashy, discordant, dramatic ones as well.
That's for the drama.
That's true.
It's because it's a horror one, that one.
Yeah.
That's exciting. And how far in advance do you decide on what you're going to do? Do you know what you're doing after Brass?
Spring Awakening. No. I think I might be running out. So the last 3 years I've done NYMT shows because the National Youth Music Theatre does shows which can be done very well by young performers and often has lots of parts. Rather than like classic old musicals with, 4 parts and then an ensemble. So that's but I think I might be running out of NYMT shows that I really like.
Can you not do Billy the Kid?
Billy the Kid's cute, but it's for little ones, isn't it? Mind you,
can find a little one to be Billy, and then everyone else can be.
or just get the teenagers playing little kids, because that'll be funny too.
That'll
be so cute.
Battle of Boat was for little kids. Saskia's part, which she did brilliantly, was originally like a 10-year-old boy. So,
well, if you can find somebody to write the music, I've got a comedy script that I'd like to see your stage door people do.
Excellent. Maybe Lucas Bailey could write the music. I'm sure
Lucas Bailey can do anything, so I'm sure Lucas Bailey could write the music. It's funny, isn't it, that there's some people you have to say their full name, like Lucas Bailey and Jack James Ryan and Andrew Lloyd Webber. Like you can't just call them Lucas or Jack or Andrew.
Andrew.
I literally said Andrew Lloyd there. I couldn't stop myself in time. So it's funny as well because Andrew Lloyd Webber isn't particularly easy to say quickly.
Andrew Lloyd Webber, Andrew Lloyd Webber, Andrew Lloyd Webber.
I didn't say it wasn't easy to say quickly repeatedly. I said it's not easy to say quickly. You end up saying Android after a while.
Well, I think you should get Lucas Bailey to write you some music for your show. I mean, the other thing about the Stage Door musicals is that so far, and this year is happening too, the person that's written it has come to see them.
Well, that's exciting.
If Lucas writes next year's, he'll definitely come to see it, I'm sure. Alternatively, I was thinking I could do a Sondheim show and tell him that he has to come because that's the thing.
Well, he went to see Rosalind Craig in Company, so why wouldn't he come to see you guys?
I know, because I was there the same night.
You were there the same night that Sondheim was there to watch Rosalie Craig?
Yeah.
Did you see him?
I did see him. He was obviously sitting in a much more expensive seat than me, but yeah, I saw him.
I feel like I've seen a very blurry photo of this.
I've seen that as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, unfortunately, you're not going to be able to get Frank Vedekin to come and see Spring Awakening, though, are you? Because he's been dead for over 100 years.
Yeah, he's probably not up for it.
Really?
But Benjamin Till, who wrote Brass, is coming to see Brass. Well, he said that he will. In fact, he's doing a Zoom with us on Thursday.
Oh,
which is cool. Yeah.
That's exciting. They best practice those accents before the Zoom, then.
Yes, although I don't know whether he's Northern. I don't think he is. He said that his parents, well, funnily enough, he told me that he would definitely come and see the show because his parents live near Cheltenham, and then realised that actually his parents live near Chelmsford, which is different.
Isn't that Essex?
Yes.
He's committed now. He has to go.
Yeah.
He'll just get an Airbnb and pretend it's his parents' house in Cheltenham.
Yeah.
So what's the future for Stagedoor Learning then? Where do you want this to go?
Well, I mean, I'm kind of liking the way that it's going at the moment. We're oversubscribed for September again, which is lovely because then it becomes a little bit selective. Although I don't want it to ever become a place where, I don't know how to phrase it. I don't want it to become elite. I don't want it to become a place where people go if they've already had years and years of training at dance schools and so on. I think it needs to, what's great about Stage Door is getting the kids who've just kind of really enjoyed doing their GCSE drama and they were always that one kid that everyone else wished everyone else would just shut up and get on with it. And then they all come together in the same room and it's kind of like brilliant, like raw talent. And there's a lot of clashing of personalities in the first term. And then eventually they realize that actually they're all on the same level. So it's nice that it's a bit selective, but then at the same time, it's quite nice that they're all sort of the similar kind of, the kids got the passion rather than the ones who spent years at dance school and having singing lessons and so on. So yeah, but I don't ever want it to get massive. I don't want it ever to be more than 20 kids in a year group because then I think we lose something. We lose they get a lot of attention from me and from Kate. And that's nice. That's, one of the great things about it is that we know them all really, really well. So I don't want it ever to get big, but I'm up for opening more across the country. That would be cool. It'd be really cool to have other theatres. Well, Hinkley Point, obviously.
Well, that's your fourth one. You've got a third one already. You need a Hinkley Point. Well, so you could pair with theatres and then also pair with nuclear power stations.
That would be great. That would be a different USP. Yeah. I think it'd be great to have other regional theatres on board. I think that was what I wanted originally. Because it works so well at the Everyman, but obviously the last couple of years for regional theatres has been shocking and it's not really on anybody's radar at the moment. But, I think that the Everyman gets, I don't know, Joe, you know this more than me, the Everyman gets something out of being linked with Stage Door. They get, to talk about community engagement and all of those sorts of things. And we do bits and bobs. We, sometimes if you need someone to hand out flyers, we'll do that.
Yeah, I think there's a lot to be said for regional theatres investing in specialist training for young people because realistically, regional theatres need people in the local vicinity who are invested and engaged in keeping the theatre alive. It's no different really to the Everyman being saved in the 60s by the Friends of the Everyman, who were people who had the money and the passion to keep the building alive. I'm sure if the Everyman were in the same state now as it was in the late 50s where it was looking at being closed, I think they'd find allies in the Stage Door students, because they have that passion for it and they have that drive for keeping the regional theatre alive. And I think a lot of other regional theatres could really benefit from having that connection to their local community.
Definitely.
And having that support of somewhere.
And one of the other things that we found certainly in the first year when we did some kind of surveys and data and stuff is that because the kids get to see shows and they don't pay for their tickets, every single one of them had been back and seen a different show or had seen that show again and taken different people with them. So whilst they may get to see things for free, they do then go on to buy tickets. Most of them had been back and seen something again and had taken different people with them, or because they'd seen a play by that company, they'd gone to see the next tour, and it does kind of filter through in terms of bringing money into the theatre. It's not just about sharing the love. They do bring the
but it's a long-term investment, isn't it? Because if they bring a friend to see a show a second time, that's potentially somebody that's never been through those doors who might become a theatre goer for life because they've been introduced by somebody with passion. And I think what you do really well, going back to sort of what you were saying about it having to be selective because you're oversubscribed, I think what you do really well is get people who share an ethos and who buy into what Stage Door means, rather than just finding people who have been to dance classes since they were 4, or who have had professional singing lessons or professional acting lessons. You find people who are part of that same kind of mindset, and that's why they work so well with the regional theatre, because they're part of that family. I think I mean family without really needing to even try. It's just it's inherent in them.
It is, and I think that's happened accidentally, actually, and it's true. And I don't think I realised until I've had the opportunity to work with you guys and stuff, that actually that's really important when you go on as well. It's not just about finding people who are good at stuff; it's also about finding people who fit. And it's really nice to have been able to make those selections and think, okay, yeah, you're really talented, but actually you probably wouldn't fit in here, so you wouldn't get out of it what I want you to get out of it. And being able to make those choices is really good. Yeah. And I know that's something that you share as well. You want to work with people who fit your company ethos rather than just people who are good at stuff. Yeah,
and it's sometimes choosing people that are going to get the most out of the experience, rather than choosing somebody who's going to come in. One of the things that this might be hypocritical, is I don't know, you guys can either decide to stand up for me or just remain silent. One of the things I can't handle is when an ego comes into the room when you're rehearsing. And I think IKP is quite good at finding people who are able, as soon as the rehearsal starts, to drop an ego and kind of go, we're part of the show and we're part of the company, rather than going, but I'm not standing at the front of the stage right now. That's interesting, actually. Not gonna. They obviously don't want to defend you, Joe.
I found with the Stage Door students, so normally they would do a show in November. So they come in 6 weeks later, they're doing a show in the studio at the Everyman, and that's the point they realise that it doesn't have to be all about standing in the front, in the middle. And then by the time we get onto the stage that we're at now, they've all understood that. Unfortunately, this year, my first year students are absolutely wonderful, but they haven't done a show yet. They were supposed to do a show in November, and then lockdown 2 hit that one, and then it got moved to January, and then of course they haven't been able to do it then. So they've not done a performance yet. So normally the musical is like the culmination of a year's worth of understanding about working together as a team and all of that. They haven't done that. So the first time they're on stage together will be in brass, which is unusual. Normally they'd have done 2 shows by now. But that kind of understanding, and that's something that I'm really keen that they all understand, that it's about the show. It's not about them as individuals. And I think that's quite a hard lesson for teenagers to learn, particularly given that the majority of them will be coming from a school where they were always the main part. Yeah, I've always thought it's a really, I think cunning is the word in a positive way. It's a cunning thing that you do, that the first show your first years do is a variety show, because you're actively going to be at the back for 90% of this because it's variety. So we're switching you up, and instantly they have to go, okay, we're not at the front of the stage. But actually, I think one of your students that stands out most to me is one of the students that I just remember watching. I've seen them in 2 shows. I think they've left, not left, graduated from you. Who, and I said to you after both shows, they were ensemble for both of them, but every time that they were on stage, they were so invested in the character that they stole the scene without stealing the scene. Like, they weren't doing it intentionally, and they weren't doing it in an unprofessional way, but you couldn't stop watching them because they were so involved in what they were doing as a character. And I found that really fascinating, that your students have this ability to kind of be part of an ensemble and understand that sometimes, unlike other people of their age, you can stand on a stage and be part of a scene without having to say something. And because sometimes you find people who are still teenagers and are still kind of learning that,
will be part of an ensemble unless they're speaking, they've just turned off.
Yeah.
And I think it's one of the most interesting things, watching students understand and watching them be part of an ensemble and completely drawing your attention.
Yeah, I think you're right. And we've got a few this year who are absolutely spot on with that as well. Done some really lovely character development work this afternoon with the ones who are in the ensemble for brass, because one of the things we found out about brass is that it's a World War I story. It's about a group of lads who were in a brass band together and signed up as a PALS regiment and go off to fight. And then in their absence, the girls that they leave behind are working in a munitions factory. And I didn't realise until fairly recently that it's all true. Not that World War I is true. I knew that. But the munitions factory was a real place. So they're the Barnbow girls. They work at the Barnbow munitions factory in Leeds. And in 1916, so just after the timeline of the show concludes, there was an explosion at the munitions factory and lots of them were killed. So, it was kept quiet until 1924 or 1926 because they felt that it would damage morale. So we're dealing with real people's stories, and we've told the girls who were at these Bombo girls that, and they've done loads of really cool research, and they found out about girls who were 14 but pretended to be 18 because they could get a job in the munitions factory and it paid better than being a domestic servant, and they were literally being paid danger money because the jobs they were doing were so dangerous. But they found this out and they've really hooked onto it. So when they do their ensemble scenes, they know that they're playing a character who was a real person, and that's quite exciting. And it's lovely that they've come to that realization themselves. That's not me as a teacher going, and you need to find some characteristic. You can be the drunk one, for example.
You can be the slutty one in the munitions factory.
But they've and they've kind of formed those realizations and thought, well, okay, if I'm doing this job because it pays well, that must mean that I need the money. So, where do I go from there? What's my family situation? How am I going to respond to the other characters? And it's really great that they understand that that's important, that just because you're in the ensemble doesn't mean that you're not a character. So yeah, that's cool. But also, I suppose, unlike, a school show that a lot of them would have been doing before, or if you were doing A-levels, we've got the time for it. So we're working on brass for 2 months, but we can do it all day, every day if we want, not just 2 hours on a Thursday afternoon if you're not in the football match or got a detention.
Just in your lunchtimes, that's it.
Yeah.
Lunchtimes Tuesday and Thursday for 9 weeks.
Exactly. Gosh, I'm sure Kirsten will remember rehearsals where we had literally 30 minutes. We've got to learn this scene.
Yeah. And the first 15 minutes is just telling people to be quiet because they've only just arrived and they're saying,
or writing notes so they can go to the canteen and bring their food out with them.
You've just given me a flashback to doing Joseph at school. Oh. Yeah. I was going to say something. I can't remember what it was. Sorry, Kirsten, go.
No, I think it's really interesting you talking about how they're approaching the characters and stuff, just because I think that is a really big difference between, acting in quotation marks and actually connecting it, and what gets people to the next stage and brings that passion on, because it is that, it's not just being I need to do this thing because that's how that person acts. They're acting in a certain way. It's not just acting. Even with acting, there's context to it. And Nathan, you do a bollocks, you want to be called Nate? I do it every time.
Ollie did it last week, don't worry.
I can't get out.
Okay, can I just call you Nate?
So good.
Sorry, it's just so difficult. I look at you, I'm
It's okay.
shit, who are you? Bollocks, where was I?
You were saying about Nate is doing Truth and World, I'm assuming.
So Nate, you obviously... Oh my goodness, okay. So yeah, Nate, you're obviously on a acting course, and it's not just about what you're physically doing. Obviously that's what people see, but that's backed up by contextual factors, and it's backed up by, in some extent, research. And without that research, you wouldn't know that. And I think, no offense to anyone, but there are a lot of people that go into it thinking that's just what it is. And I don't know, I think that's something that Stagedoor really promotes, because it's something that we were always, even though me and Nate weren't specifically I can't do it. Oh my god.
I'm not cutting this either, this is staying in.
Oh no. I was just going to do it then. Even though me and Nathan weren't specifically a part of Stagedoor, even though we were taught by Jenny, that's something we were taught. It's not just about what you're putting Like, it's not just what you're showing people. There's just so much more to it. And if you don't do that, I'm not saying we all necessarily did it well, but if you don't do that, then I don't know, it lacks those layers. It lacks understanding of those characters. And, you know, from seeing shows, from going to drama school, all of that kind of thing, you can tell the difference when people don't know things, down to even like, this is a bit, I don't know, taboo or whatever, but like, I used to smoke and I'll sometimes watch people smoke a cigarette. And it kills me watching people pretend to smoke a cigarette. And I'm like, you don't need to be a smoker to know how to smoke a cigarette. You just need to do the research. And like, you just need to watch someone.
But it's different. It's different. It's totally different. I did a show probably 10 years ago where I had to smoke, and I in the end I took up smoking for a couple of months because I couldn't do it. I physically, like, I couldn't get my hands to do it properly. Because also, like, it goes back to that, and I said to Marjorie, like, the same way I'd take off gloves, I'd be holding a cigarette, like, hello. I'd look like this kind of Georgian gentleman walking down the street with this cigar pipe, and I'd be having to smoke a little roll-up cigarette, and I couldn't do it. In the end, I just started smoking because it was the easiest way of doing it. Yeah.
That's not something
it's just
courage, by the way.
No, not encouraged.
Obviously not. No.
It's the only time I've ever been better in anything.
Yeah, like, everyone does it differently, and it's the same with many things. People approach things differently, but I don't know, research is important and context is important, and I don't know. Yeah, that's kind of it, really. That's just my point.
What exciting plans do you have with Stagedoor Learning for the future, if you want to connect with these regional theatres and regional theatre companies?
Well, one of the things that I'm really excited about exploring a bit further is what happens when people leave Stagedoor. What if they want to have a gap year? What if they don't feel ready to go on to the next stage of training yet? What can we do to fill the gap year and help them to continue to learn and train? And so one of the really cool things that we're looking at doing is joining up with IKP Theatre to look at how we can use our brilliant links with the company to kind of further the knowledge and the training and the experience that Stagedoor graduates get whilst they're on a gap year. So looking at how that might work, and Joe also knows a bit more about that.
Yeah, I think we've discussed kind of putting together projects and giving people opportunities to get a bit of experience of being in the rehearsal room while stuff's going on, and shadowing people. So there's so many people connected to IKP now that we've got the opportunity for people to shadow. If they're interested in how to market a company, they can shadow Ollie. And if they're interested in how to put on a production, they can shadow me and Katie Embling, who's our associated producer. Or if they're interested in directing, then obviously Greg's in the room and they can direct, and they can shadow him or whoever's directing a production. And it's an opportunity to kind of tag along with whatever their specific interest is. And then I think we discussed at the end of the year, giving them an opportunity to use all of those skills that they've learned, hopefully from all of the people within the rehearsal room at IKP and through their experience, and put those skills into action and put on their own production somewhere, which hopefully would then give them the opportunity to get that kind of extra credit on their CV.
Yeah, I mean, and looking forward, it will hopefully turn into some kind of actual qualification. Not immediately, but eventually, which is really cool. Lots of people want to go on to drama school, but when they leave college at 18, they don't feel ready, or maybe they didn't get in and they want to continue to kind of develop their skills for a bit rather than just stopping. And what I'm really keen to do is to try and give people a way to do that whilst also earning money. So, doing a few hours with Stagedoor, working with IKP, but also having time during the day to do a job so they can build up their financial independence or whatever, save money for going off the year after or the year after that. So it's a really exciting partnership, and I'm really excited about doing it and starting fairly small scale and then seeing where it takes us. But the other thing that IKP do, which I think is great, is sort of rural touring and taking theatre to communities that perhaps wouldn't get that. And I think that's an important thing for people to learn about as well, particularly, young performers from Gloucestershire. It's not all about moving to a big city and going on a stage in a massive, beautiful theatre. Actually, it's about bringing theatre to communities as well. And that's something that we can explore, which is really exciting.
I think it's a really interesting thing that when students aren't ready to go to drama school, or if they don't get in for 1 year for whatever reason, I think it's really difficult to stay on it. Once you've left consistent education, I think it's really difficult because there's just not that opportunity out there. And I think that's sort of what we want to do with that partnership, is create that opportunity to keep a foot in the door.
Definitely. I think it's really hard. Like, your options are like, I don't know, do some Amdram. And that's a difficult thing to get into, even if you want to, because so many amateur dramatics companies are like the mafia. You can't get in. And if you do get in, however good you are, you've got to be in the chorus for 35 years until they give you an opportunity to have a bigger part. So it is really difficult. And if you've been particularly the students who've been at Stagedoor, they're used to performing every day, in a normal year, not this one, obviously, because COVID, they would maybe do 6 or 8 public performances within their time at Stagedoor. And then if you go from that to nothing, it's really difficult to feel that you're keeping up with your skills and with your craft. So this will be an opportunity for people to do that, to keep it going, which is cool.
Yeah, we're really excited about it as well. Sounds really cool.
And I think it's going to be
When are you planning on starting it?
Well, this in September, but on a kind of a small scale. But then going forward, it would end up being something which would be a more formal qualification, which would come with finance as well, which is great. So people would be able to do it. They'd be able to work during the day and maybe kind of come and do some evening classes and some weekends at Stagedoor to work towards a qualification. And then that would come with student finance. So they wouldn't need to worry about that. And it would just, go into the very deep pit that is student finance, but it's part of it. And then you could then go on and do a degree afterwards. But it's something that we will start soon, but on a small level, and then hopefully grow over the next few years.
Yeah, and I think that's a really nice fusion of kind of what Stagedoor does in making theatre accessible and performing arts training accessible for people from all backgrounds. And it's a nice overlap of that and IKP's aim to make theatre as accessible as possible, because we keep our ticket prices as low as we can, and we tour to rural areas to make it as accessible as possible. So I think it's quite a nice kind of marriage of the companies to be able to offer that and keep providing that kind of access to theatre and training, so that people can get the best kind of foot up in life as possible.
Yeah, and I think it's really important that young performers or aspiring young performers see that it's not just about being in a show in the West End, that you can do some really fantastic theatre. And, IKP is obviously a company that we really enjoy working with. And then Hammer Puzzle, you mentioned Bryn earlier on. Hammer Puzzle do something similar, it's small scale, but it's really, really fantastic quality, and it's really wonderful to watch. And I think it's great that the students at Stagedoor get to see that variety of things and get to understand that actually you can do something really magical on a small scale. It doesn't all have to be about massive budgets and huge audiences in the National Theatre and stuff.
I think it's such like a perfect blend as well of having like evening classes and then like working during the day, because like a lot of the times like if people are wanting to go to drama school after this course, a lot of the things that drama schools are looking for are experience in theatre and real life experience. And I think it's really hard to get that kind of blend between the two, because you're either working for the entire year or you're in like a course that takes up and eats up all of your time. So I think the fact that you can do both is going to be so beneficial to people.
Yeah, I hope so. I think it'd be a really good, a really good mix of being able to become a bit more independent. And, lots of sort of 18, 19-year-olds, they still have to live at home, but they need to make money. But yeah, like Joe said, it's really hard to then keep your hand in with performing, because it's just not the opportunity. So yeah, to be able to do a little bit of both and then work towards qualification at the same time, it's always useful to have more certificates, I think, as a teacher. I'm always a big fan of people getting it. So yeah.
Yeah, I think it's good to know that it's like it is an experimentation. In fact, that it's something new, but like you've always done this. Like, I know when I was doing my gap year, you were like, oh, I've got a group workshop for singing every Tuesday. Come and do that. Like, oh, you need help with your monologues. Like, let's do that. Like, you've always provided an opportunity for people that aren't in education to still have something to be able to do and to keep on top of it and keep practicing. And like, it's not an experimentation in the fact that you don't know if it'll work. You know it works because you've done it for people already. It's just making that a more official pathway so that it can like assure more people that it does work and that they can do it as well. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, without getting too sentimental, I have always done that, and it's really special as a teacher watching people go on and develop their passions and go on to find their place in the world and to go on in the industry that I really enjoy working in as well. And yeah, I do still do things as the students that left last year who've been coming in and using Stagedoor HQ to do self-tapes. And it's just, I still get very excited when they get offers and recalls and places. And, I love going and watching ex-students perform because that's, to feel like you might be a little part of making that happen is really exciting. It's really lovely.
What was your first memory of theatre?
First memory of theatre. Okay, so when I was 6, I got taken by my parents to the Horsehay Amateur Operatic Society production of Oliver at the Horsehay Works Canteen. And I was absolutely hooked, although it's also where my like thing against blackouts comes from, and anyone know about that, because I'm pretty sure in the Horsehay Amateur Operatic Society production of Oliver, the scene changes were longer than the scenes in many cases. And that involved the lights going off and whoever the old lady on the piano was playing like a demon while they changed the set completely and then they put the lights back on. But yeah, I mean, I was 6 and I still remember it so vividly and being so excited by it. But yeah, that's what it is. My first memory of theatre.
What are you looking forward to most when we reopen?
Oh God, just going and seeing stuff. I mean, there's been nothing, has there? I don't even care what it is. Yeah, I'm very, very excited about the current Stagedoor kids getting in because we're on. Brass is the first thing when theatres can open. So theatres can open on the 17th of May and we're on the 18th. So that's really exciting. Wow. But yeah, just going and seeing, like, I don't know, that communal experience of watching live theatre with other people. It's you don't get it anywhere else. And that's, yeah, I'm looking forward to that. And then coming to see Treasure Island on tour because that sounds really cool.
Just Treasure Island? You're not coming to see Beauty and the Beast?
Well, your Treasure Island's first, isn't it? It is
first, and it's like 2 weeks after Brass as well.
I know, that's cool. And then obviously Beauty and the Beast in the summer and Spring Awakening in the summer. Oh, and then I'm going to see Hamilton in London because we were supposed to go last year for my children's birthday.
Well, I'm taking that as a compliment that Treasure Island, the IKP tour, came before Hamilton in the West End. So thanks.
So that's all we've got time for this week. Thank you very much for joining us, Jenny. If you want to follow her on Stagedoor Learning on Facebook and Instagram, or Stagedoor Learn on Twitter, I'm very happy to announce that we don't have a tombola yet this week. So,
so you'll have to choose somebody because we don't have a tombola. Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. So. I guess as punishment, the host next week is Joe.
Yeah.
So yeah, thank you very much for listening, and we'll see you next week.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye.